Professor Diaz has claimed political killings touched him as Parliament probes police infiltration claims. In a tense session before Parliament's ad hoc committee on Tuesday, renowned violence monitor Professor Mary Diaz delivered a scathing assessment of political killings touched him, accusing the specialized unit of misconduct, secrecy, and systematic failure in tackling political matters in KwaZulu-Natal. Diaz, who has spent decades documenting political violence, did not mince her words as she detailed disturbing allegations of abuse and flawed investigations by the PKTT. Her testimony forms part of the committee's broader probe into explosive claims by KwaZulu-Natal Commissioner Lieutenant General Ndlela Mkhwanazi, who recently alleged that a criminal syndicate known as the Big Five has infiltrated the police. Mkhwanazi had also highlighted Diaz's long-standing criticism of the unit, which she has repeatedly called to be dissolved. Diaz told members of parliament that many cases handled by PKTT were inexplicably categorized as political matters with no standard definition or transparent criteria, and that I have never known how they define the cases. I've heard they've taken dockets that have nothing, as far as I'm aware, to do with politics. She said the absence of a clear baseline for what constitutes a political killing has rendered it impossible to assess the unit's effectiveness or even understand the scope of its work. The veteran researcher recounted harrowing accounts from victims, community members, and even police officers who claimed to have experienced or witnessed abuse at the hands of the PKTT. This included physical assaults, psychological intimidation, and unlawful confiscation of phones without court orders. Said I heard alarming stories of physical abuse, emotional, psychological abuse. It's almost the norm from what everybody will encounter. According to Diaz, one of the most troubling cases involved officers from a Durban police station who were allegedly arrested and charged with political killings despite strong alibis. After years of legal wrangling and no evidence presented, the officers remained behind bars. Diaz said the PKTT's action have created defiant communities that are meant to trust police, and said people are living in fear of the task team itself. Calling for its urgent disbandment, she proposed that investigators be reintegrated into conventional detective units and recommended the establishment of a judicial oversight body led by a retired judge to enforce accountability. Umkhonto Party Member of Parliament David Skosana pressed Diaz to reveal the names of individuals who had supplied the allegations, while ANC Member of Parliament Xolani Nqola urged her to provide greater transparency to aid verification. But Diaz stood firm, insisting she would not compromise the safety of her sources. Many of the accusations, she noted, were already publicly reported. Mary Diaz also spoke about the disbandment letter. General Ndlela Mkhwanazi also noted that Diaz had been very vocal about dissolving the province's PKTT. The SAPS Minister Senzo Mchunu, who was on special leave, revealed last month that upon their appointment as deputy ministers, numerous individuals sought confidential discussions with them on policing issues, including Diaz. He said Diaz is one of those people who wrote extensively to us to raise concerns about policing. In December 2024, Diaz formally urged Mchunu to dissolve the task team, describing it as irregular formed and advocating for its investigators to be reintegrated into traditional detective units. She also questioned the qualifications of team's head Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo. Moreover, she proposed establishing a judicial oversight mechanism headed by a retired judge with expertise in criminal and policing matters to review the task team's cases and investigate allegations of misconduct. Mary Diaz also told the committee that interference in police cases was known during Cele's tenure, which began in 2018, and that it was common knowledge. She said her experience of writing about political killings in KwaZulu-Natal, she recounted receiving numerous complaints that suspects were allegedly being abused by task team to force them into making statements. When she inquired about who was leading the team, she was allegedly told that Cele was running it, and said I was not surprised because I've heard it before. She cited the 2017 murder case of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa as another example of Cele's alleged involvement, and said it transpired that the head of intelligence at the time had given the report to Cele, which was supposed to be given to the National Commissioner. I complained to Parliament that he shouldn't be running this team himself, and the chairperson agreed, but nothing was done. Cele has previously testified before the committee, stating he was against Mqono's directive to disband the PKCC. He argued that Mqono should have consulted the interministerial committee under the leadership of the president, and said procedurally, I don't agree with it. The way it came through should have been reversed the same way. When I saw the letter, I said this can't be.
This is not a history class taking us back to the 1980s. Our communities are under siege. Our children are being fed drugs. We are here to get to the truth. Ethics has long left this room and left this country. Long time ago. It's too late for that now. We need names. Anyone that comes here today, we don't know you. You said earlier on, Professor, my people trust me. I don't know you. I don't trust anyone. So please, can we have names here today? And when you get asked a question, Chair, I find that the witness sometimes will get asked a simple question. How did you learn of the letter? And then we must hear about groups where stationery and fuel complaints are being received. Please, can we stick to the question? Can we give a frank, honest answer? And can we move on and can we get names? We've been listening to this all morning and we've been patient with the witness, but I think time is moving. We don't have a lot of time. Can we please get to the bottom of this now?
Yeah, not before. Honorable James. Honorable James. What is it that let's be specific so that we are able to help the meeting to move forward.
Chair, let me give you an example.
Yeah.
When the witness was asked, how did she learn of the letter? She answered, she said, via a WhatsApp group, a police WhatsApp group, and members have also been complaining about fuel and about petrol and all of that stuff. The entire morning, whenever she speaks and she speaks about her sources, she doesn't reference the name. It's just, she's unable to verify. When she speaks about crime intelligence leader and head of crime intelligence, there's provincial, there's national. She's not specific with names I've picked up. So there's a lot of inconsistencies in her statement. And I think out of respect and sort of one looks, at a lot of things, so you don't want to be too hard, but it's been going on the entire morning. And there's a lot being said here where I can see we're being patient, the evidence leader's being patient with her, but she's not getting to the point, and we are getting derailed.
Okay. Did you note the question?
What's your take on this one, people? Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.